Alright, it's back. Or I'm back and it's loaded. Let's go ahead and try it out. Okay, so it's been a while since I've showed this on stream, mostly because I had to take the hiatus during December, but yeah, this is my Twitch interactive card game, and basically what you're supposed to do is it's if you've ever heard of the game called Concentration, you basically pick two cards on the grid, and then the game will tell you if the two cards have a matching picture. And if they do, then you get points. If they don't, then they're just shown for a split second, or maybe more than a split second, but shown for a bit and then hidden again, and the next person goes and does the same thing. And so you have to kind of remember where the cards are on in the grid. So this project is a bit bigger, so I'm expecting to maybe work on it for a couple more months, because I want to make it interactive with Twitch, so viewers will actually make the guesses, and then the game will pick a guess, and everybody that guessed will either get points if they're correct or not. And each of the pictures on the card will also be one of the viewers' logos. And I also want you to be able to spend the points you get to either change the rules of the game or have some fun like sound effect or particle effect on your card when it's shown, things like that. So right now basically it's just saying that this guess is not a match, and I think that's how I had stopped. I really haven't looked at this project since the last stream, so bear with me a bit as I get my bearings with it. But it seems like what I did here was I just looked at the tiles, these positions for, okay. So we find a tile. Okay, so we want to find the tile associated with a certain position on the board. And then once we have that, we can check their images to see if they match. And then if they do match, then we tag this tile pair guessed to it. And then say it's a match. If not, it's not a match. Excuse me. But regardless, we do reveal the guess. So I haven't done the part where it gives somebody score. And I haven't done the part where it hides the card again and then goes on to the next guess. So I wonder... So it's not a match. I don't know what part I should tackle next. Because giving score, I'm going to need to go and make all the information about users. But it seems kind of weird to go on without doing that. Well, maybe I should do a full play loop. So I'll hide them again if it's not a match. And then go on to the next guess. And then we'll worry about keeping track of score and all that stuff. Because that's going to be a bit more complicated than you think, because I have to keep a database of users and things like that. Okay, well, I should have kept it open so I can check what the current state of the game is at that point and see what I need to change. Alright, so again I type... Yeah, eventually how players will guess is they'll type !guess and then their guess in chat. But obviously we don't do that right now. Okay, so yeah, it's not a match. Right, so we have the featured guess, which I guess, oh yeah, that's the guess that the game had chosen out of all that it had received. Then we have, okay, so this is the actual information about the images on the tiles. Then we have this, that's just information about the board. Alright, and then information about the tiles. Okay, so this is the guess. So the featured guess. Okay, it just has that. So I guess we would want to get rid of this guess. Okay, so yeah, we have to keep it around now because when we award scores, we would look back through all the guesses and see which users made a correct guess. But yeah, so maybe that's what I was thinking. So we'll want to wait to delete these until after that's happened. Okay, so I'll need to keep that in mind. And this is the phase, so yeah, it deletes incoming guesses, and then also we're on the reveal guess phase right now. So we'll have a timer, and then maybe after that, we'll have a phase where we dole out the points. And then after that, we'll go on to the next phase. Okay, so what is this? This is... okay, so tiles that are revealed. As opposed to tiles. Okay, so these don't have color updated or... okay, so I wonder what would happen if I took off the tile revealed. Maybe, I don't remember if I've done that part yet. Featured guess tile revealer. Alright, so what this does... right, so it looks at the featured guess and then adds this tile revealed component to each one. Alright, and then trying to look and see. We have this. Okay, so this is a tile object creator. Sets the positions and stuff. I'm trying to see where's the code that changes the color. Oh, here, it's in the test. So tile face color. Oh, right. Okay. The reason this is in a test is because the final game is going to show pictures on it instead of just colors, so... okay, so whatever we remove the tile revealed, we'll need to also remove tile color updated and then set it to gray. Okay, so I think I can do that. Yeah, that should work pretty well. So let's try and do that now. So we want to hide the shown tiles. Oh, my bitrate is fluctuating again. Sorry about that. I don't know. I think the other day when my bitrate was bad, I think it's because Windows had decided to download an update. It's so nice of it to do that when I'm trying to stream. I don't know what's going on right now. It's not quite as bad as the other day though, thankfully. Okay, so what do I want to do? I guess I need to have a structure or a class that will have a timer, and then when that timer is over, we'll unreveal a tile. But first off, I noticed this, well, that one code that continually Yeah, this match checker is going to continually say guess as a match. I really don't even need this to run yet, because I only need it to run when I'm going to... Well, I guess so, because it needs to tag this, because guest pairs would not hide. But obviously it just needs to run once. Alright, so where are the components? Okay, so we have state components. So I have this reveal guess. But maybe I should just check if the guess is a match in this pick guess phase. Okay, so what this does is it waits until there's a featured guess and then reveals it. But maybe instead of waiting for a featured guess, I should wait until there's been like a score given. Okay, yeah, I think that's better. Let's see. Well, how does... Okay, so what I want to do basically is wait until something creates a featured guess and then keeps going. But what creates the featured guess? Because I think that it will keep on running forever. Is it this featured guess picker? Yeah, so it runs... Yeah, so it looks at... Okay, yeah, so this is gonna... This is kind of a problem I have some time with the entity component system, is you can't tell it to not update if something exists. Which I guess is probably by design, but it would be nice. Let me think. What would be the best way to do this? So I could either kind of keep going like I am, where we just kind of have steps of phases, which I guess is probably the best way to do it. Because the only other thing I can think of is we just have one phase and then we send out a bunch of commands and then these run on command. Which, I mean, I guess that could work too. Maybe I should experiment with that. The only problem is that the commands probably will be slightly less efficient because we'll just be creating an entity to have it destroyed, but I don't know if it really matters. Let's see. So we could have like the phase pick guess, and then phase check for match, and then phase reveal. Or we could just have phase pick guess, and then at the same time we would throw out a bunch of commands for them to execute. But let me think. So maybe I will do that. But I might be thinking about it the wrong way. Like, I don't have to have these run one after the other. I could just say that we want to pick a guess and then also check the featured guess. And then when they're done, they can just move on to the next thing. I don't know. Oh wait, what am I trying to do? Phase check featured or match. I'm still kind of learning with how to do game flow with the entity component system. I'm not sure exactly the best way to do it. Well, I think I'll kind of keep it the way it is because I don't want like the code that does all this looking to really care about the like how the game flows. So I don't really want it to like try to remove this phase. Although maybe it should, because by design we only want it to run once. I know I'm talking in circles, so I apologize for that, but I'm just kind of trying to figure this out. Let's see here. Well, you know, okay, we do by design only want this to run once. So maybe I should let it remove this information, like this command, after it's run, because there's no reason for it to run twice. Okay, I think I will do that, because yeah, that makes sense to me. And then something else will watch for all the information it needs to move on to the reveal phase. Okay, so let's go back to here. Okay, so do we want to rename this? So we have pick guess. I think I will rename it. So this will be pick and check. I don't know if that's... Well, I guess that's fine. So basically this phase will pick a featured guess and then check to see if it's a match and then award points. Okay, and then we'll have a couple commands. Pick featured guess. And we'll have one that will check featured guess for match, and then we'll have something else that will deal with doling out points when the time comes. But alright. Okay, so I wanted to rename this by hand instead of refactoring it because I want to see all the times it's used so I can check exactly what I want this to be. Okay, so this will still be phase pick and check guess. And this is true, but I want it to also wait for to see if there's been a match. So I think I'll just comment this out for now because I don't want it to actually transition. And then here, so the featured guess. Yeah, so what this actually needs to do is look for the command. And then right here, it could just go ahead and delete this featured guess. But we already get a command buffer, so we can just put our command in the buffer. Okay, so let's do that. So our buffer equals... Yeah, we'll still do that, and then also this buffer will just tell it to remove the command from the singleton component. Yeah. I think this is good because I'll say for my programming that if a component starts with a command, it's meant for one specific system. And then that system will work on it once. So that way we don't have the issue where it runs multiple times again. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Anyway. Okay, so that's good, and then the featured match checker will not run then anymore. It will run on the Command singleton. Oh wait, that's not right. Check featured guests for match. Is this right? Oh, okay, yeah. So I was trying to see where it gets the featured guest data, but that's from a iJob for each with entity. I guess that's fine. It does get a buffer. So buffer equals. Don't want to create 2 buffers. I actually don't think it's really that big of a deal if you do create 2 buffers, but it feels like a waste. So buffer dot remove component. Okay, and so I need to tell it to remove this specific type from it. And I remember checking this, and they might have changed it, I don't know. But when you use iJob for each, like we only want this to run if there's a featured guest, so we need to also have a query up here for that, even though we don't actually create the query, or we don't need it for anything else. But we want to make sure that we only run if there's something or an entity with a featured guest component on it. Okay. So now this should run. And I should really just put the information about the guests in another entity. So let's do that too, I guess. So we have the featured guests and I guess featured guests match. Oh, do we want to? Because I could just add like a match component to the featured guest entity. I don't know. I could create another entity with this result. Again, before it's like, usually if you have a boolean, you could kind of, because this would just be component data, public. Oh, not true. Let's see. Is matching. So we could do this and either have it false or true, or we could have something like featured guests matches, which would be like this, and then also featured guests no match. I don't really like this because the names aren't symmetrical, but the other way would be like featured guest does not match. Well, that still doesn't work. It'd be like featured guest does match and then does not match. Anyway. So here, also here we probably want to have like the image that was matched, maybe. So like if there's no match, we don't really care about the image, but if there is a match, then we do. So sort of that's like we have information here that doesn't need to be existing if there's not a match. But I also kind of want to use this as a flag when the match checker runs. So I think I will leave it just in a single component like that. Private, yeah, entity archetype. This will be result archetype. There we go. And then I guess I'll need to pass it to the job. Got the type. Oh, I think I'm about to sneeze. Okay, good. I caught that one. Alright, so we'll just have this boolean here, and then I guess I'll leave the debug there. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Match result true and match result false. And so either way, we'll want to create the entity. So buffer. I guess we'll need to get a reference to the entity. So this is the result entity equals buffer dot create entity. Need to pass it the job index and then also the result archetype, and then set the component on this. So set component okay, we actually don't need the image yet. Okay, so yeah, I'm not completely sure if I like using the boolean there or not, but I think it's probably best this way because I want to use this as a flag as well. So now the featured guess, or what? Something watcher. Okay, yeah, so this picked watcher will also, I don't need a reference to this actually. We'll now also want to get any queries of the type match results. So it'll look for both of these, and then when that's true, it will transition to the reveal guess phase. So now the only other thing I need to do is whatever reveals to the pick, or whatever moves to the pick and guess phase. Oh, which nothing does. Okay, yeah, so this guess timer watcher is what does it. We'll also need to add those command components. And also pick featured guess. Okay, so now it will switch to the next phase and then also issue these two commands. And the two systems will watch for them and then remove it themselves, so we never have to worry about them running twice. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. I think I'm all that talking and figuring about the best way to do that, I think will pay off. Okay, so let's let it compile real quick. Okay, so yeah, it handles guess, and there's a short timer. And then it's, oh, it is a match. Wow, I was lucky. But we can see, featured guess match result has true for is matching. And the featured guess is here. What else? What do I want to check? Okay, and the phase is still fine. Okay, so yeah, that did work pretty well. Okay, so on the reveal phase, we just really want to have a timer. And once that timer is done, then we'll move on to the next phase. So I could just copy this. What does it do? So it checks to see if the start time for the guest timer plus the period is less than or equal to the game's time, and then if it does, it transitions. Alright, so do I need to have it specifically called the guest timer, or could I just make a timer class? And so I can reuse it, and then this one would only update during the accepting guesses phase. I think it might be fine to just call it a timer. That way I can just reuse that component. Probably should move it to state components. And I'll just call it timer. I know this will bring up a lot of errors, but I want to make sure I don't mess anything up. Okay, so yeah, so this is a timer and it only runs... Okay, this is the guest timer starter. Let's see. Why does it need this query? Oh, that's kind of weird. So at the start of the phase accepting guesses, oh, I see why I did that. Because we want it to only run once there's at least one guess. Okay, and then it says if the timer's already started, then we don't want to create a new one. Okay, so it's kind of weird, but that's probably the best way to do it. Alright, and maybe... So I could still have a separate guess timer tag that I could just tag onto this component to make sure that it only gets a guess timer entity, but maybe that'd be good to do because we might have something else with a timer on it. Struct guess timer. And then also go ahead and make this new one. So this will be the reveal timer. I mean, I could make this even more generic and just call it like a control timer. And then, because then we'd only have one for each phase. I think that sounds... No, I won't do that. I think that's trying to get too smart. Okay, so this timer query will want to have read on our timer and then the new guest timer component. Timer archetype, I want to have both of those. Okay, and then the guest timer watcher will want to get guest timer and timer. Okay, and then we don't care about the guest timer data there, just the specific timer. Okay, so that's fine. Are there any other errors? Looks like the timer watcher was really the only thing that used it. Okay, so now basically the part that creates the that inserts or that takes us to the reveal phase can go ahead and create the timer. Which that was... I should rename this now. Let's call it... I'll call it the guess calculations finished watcher. Okay, so it does that. I don't feel like I need to store that entity like that. And we're gonna have a separate timer entity, which will be post update commands, create entity. Oh, and I'll need to get the archetype. Yeah, so timer archetype. Okay, and before I forget, I should create it here. Equals get our entity manager, create archetype, and we just want, well, we want timer and then also reveal timer. Alright, and then we want to set the data here. Equal, oh, that's not how you do it. Post update commands, set component timer. Alright, and so we have the start time, which I'll need to figure out, and then the period. Let's show it for 5 seconds for now. Probably want to remove that hard-coded number, but it's okay. And how we start it is we need to get, oh yeah, the game time, which is in its own special little variable. We don't have it already. So states equals, yeah, so this game logic database just holds like objects that don't fit in the entity system because they have data that can't be on a component, which would be like arrays and what Unity calls a managed type, which is the old C# objects. Anyway, so we can get the current game time from that. Okay. Alright, and so it's just exactly 6 now, which is when I need to get off. So let's go ahead and see if it's at least created the timer and if I didn't break anything by switching around how the guest timer worked. I feel like this has been a pretty good stream. Finished up the board game, got my bearings on this card game project, and cleaned up some of the flow there. Alright. So, try that. Alright, so it's still transitioned onto the reveal. So let's check to see if there's a guess or a timer. Oh yeah, so there's this reveal timer. Okay, so nothing happens with it right now, obviously, but it exists. Alright, cool. Alright, well I guess I better call the stream now. So thanks everybody for coming by and watching. I appreciate it. Tomorrow we'll probably work more on this Twitch memory match. Like I said, I'm sorry we didn't get to the visual effects today, but that board game project was a little more involved than I thought, but I guess I should have seen it coming because I was kind of making like a framework for a whole game instead of testing a little like programming algorithm or something, but I mean, it's fine. I think it was worthwhile. But I'll put some links in chat if you're interested. I have a Twitter and YouTube and Instagram and Discord. So you can also get those from the YouTube video description if you're watching from there. So yeah, feel free to talk to me or follow any of those places. I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, I'll be live tomorrow at 3 Eastern. Is that right? Yeah, I think it's 3. Yeah, it's 4 my time. I always forget if it's before or after Eastern. I think it's 3 Eastern. But yeah, just in the description I do have a little website that'll convert to your time zone, so if you're confused you can check that out. But anyway, yeah, I hope to see you then, and have a great evening. Bye bye.